I'll make no bones about it, I'm not exactly an economist, it's not my specialty area, and I'm doing my best to learn about that area all I can. However, I do feel quite confident in the area of cultural and media analysis. That's why yesterday, when the pound plummeted after Rachel Reeves' budget, I knew it would take me a while to figure out exactly what had happened economically. However, I knew I'd be able to figure out a lot faster if I looked at the media response. So the first thing I did yesterday was find a few pieces from economists I could trust and then look at the differing responses of the major news outlets. Now these stills are all from yesterday evening when I took them and was researching. However, you can see on Sky News the main story are the terrible floods in Spain, fair enough. However, the two main stories after that are the hostile market response to Reeves' budget and a live report following Reeves' budget and the dip of the pound. Next up is The Telegraph. Now they're of course a Tory newspaper, so you'd expect them to focus on it, but out of their 5 top stories, 4 focus on the budget and Rachel Reeves. So in the interests of fairness, let's have a look at how the left wing are responding, or far left if we're honest about the Modern Guardian. Their main story is about Rachel Reeves' budget. So our national public service broadcaster is bound to be covering this story objectively and in good faith, right? Right? Well, here's the BBC homepage from last night, and there's one small story about how Rachel Reeves doesn't mind if you don't like her budget. Nothing about the pound crashing, nothing about the markets being spooked, just Rachel Reeves is an independent, strong woman who don't need no man, yeah? So while the rest of the media is talking about the crash of the pound and comparing Reeves' budget to Liz Truss, the BBC are just running defence for the Labour Party. Look at this quote: "The budget is about the long game on the economy. This is not speeches," to reference Reeves' favourite pastime, and in looking to reboot Britain's economic model, the Chancellor's most helpful asset is the fact she has a landslide majority to credibly pass all of these policies into law. And worse still, now I see today that the fellas over at Guido Fawkes have recognised since I read that article, the BBC have been changing it still to make it more pro-Labour. They point out that the testimony from actual objective analysts has gone and been replaced by a Darren Jones, who happens to be Chief Secretary to the Treasury. And yes, Darren Jones is a Labour MP. Some commenters are already asking why Starmer and Reeves haven't been hounded out by the media and economic elite like Liz Truss was. And Liz Truss herself has had her own say about the BBC espousing Labour Party propaganda. She's wondering why the BBC didn't report that the Bank of England admitted that 2/3 of the gilt spike in 2022 was down to them, as well as why they're not reporting that Labour plans to borrow far more than she did. But it seems to me that this story is about more than just the Labour Party being in bed with the BBC. People are going to assume that there's a neoliberal clique made up of the political, economic and media elite that all hold to the same narrative to get their own political desires in action. But then I suppose I'm just a loony whack job conspiracy theorist. You should always trust the BBC, because they never lie. Do let me know what you think down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel if you're new.